Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Regenerative Business, the podcast. This is Sam Garcia, as expected. And today I have a special guest, and that is Julia Albain. So if you don't know Julia, she is an energy worker and lover of humans. Began her work with energy over 9 years ago as a Reiki master practitioner and teacher in the Tibetan Usui and Karuna lineages. Since then, she's added integrative energy medicine, shamanic healing work, BodyTalk, folk Western herbalism and plant medicine, and more to her medley of skills. She's served hundreds, possibly thousands of private clients and students in a variety of capacities with the intention of awakening the natural healing abilities that live in each of us and supporting the emergence of energetic perception and skill as a birthright and way of life. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
So I invited Julia on today because at the end of 2023, a few months ago, at the time of recording, I had mono and I didn't know it. And I was just on this, I felt like shit for months. And as someone who definitely goes more conspiracy theory in my general thought pattern, was convinced I had some sort of energetic, I don't even know what was happening. But I felt horrible for weeks and didn't know what was going on. And so I pulled my Instagram stories and was like, does anyone have a healing practitioner you would recommend? And one of them was Julia, and she had next day appointments. And I was like, done, signed up, didn't look at anything. I was just like, great, I can book her tomorrow.
Oh, this is so great getting this story. I didn't realize.
Yeah. And then later on, I realized, because I talk a lot about your business as an ecosystem. And then she's the only other person I've ever came across that she talks about your business as an ecosystem. And I was like, oh my God, this was divinely orchestrated.
Oh my God. I love it. I also didn't realize that you were like, oh my God, there's an energetic entity on me, that was what you thought was going
I was
on.
but I was convinced it was I'm doing something wrong. Something's bad. I just didn't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah. Yeah. But here we are.
but here we are.
And it's been such a juicy time.
Yeah, so I've been working with Julia for a few months, and we've been exploring a lot of different layers of things. And I wanted her to come on specifically to talk about herbalism for the business owner and how to actually support our bodies to increase our capacity to hold more and just increase our capacity to make the impact that we want to make. But also there's this really juicy connection that I want to start off with around the principles of creating a regenerative ecosystem. Because I talk about this with business, but I guess we haven't talked about this. So I don't know where this conversation is going to go, but creating a regenerative ecosystem within your body. So tell me more.
Yeah, I was telling you before we jumped on, when I started studying herbalism 4 or 5 years ago at this point, they touched on regenerative farming in the training, right? Just as a beginning to, especially for people that were going to start growing their own herbs and things in the backyard, getting an understanding of how you watch a landscape over time, watch the seasons, plant things very strategically so that they work together, and this idea that regenerative creation, whether it's farming or business or in your body, is about holding the whole and also the parts and tuning the parts until they're working together so that you don't have to work so hard. Mm-hmm. And that is what I think about a lot. I think about it with energy. I also think about it with the plants and the herbs and in our bodies, is that we don't want to be chasing down all these different health challenges, right? We want to get the instrument tuned in a way that it takes care of itself. Mm-hmm. And ideally, we shouldn't have to intervene too much. And it's interesting, actually, even in the holistic world here in the West, especially in the US, and I was raised, my father's a chiropractor. He takes 1 million supplements. We were raised on 1 million different supplements. We were raised on so much intervention, even if it was quote unquote natural intervention. And it's become way more interesting to me to be like, how can we get your body to a place where it actually knows how to take care of itself? And least possible intervention, just the littlest tuning to get that machine running for you. Not machine, but you know what I mean.
Do you find that at the beginning you have to do more intervention and then like kind of wean off if there's like a big depleted state?
I would say there's two ways, right? Like you're actually a really good example of someone where it was a less is more. I felt in the beginning of our work together, and I really felt your body. Sometimes I like feel people's bodies like animals, and I'm like, and there's different animals, right? And there's like a horse body that's sort of like you gotta like sidle up to a horse, right? You can't look a horse straight in the eyes. You can't like come on full on with a horse body, right? And there's some bodies that are like come in slow, come in light, like let's do little adjustments so that the body can show us what it likes or what it doesn't like, and then we can get a sense of the landscape. And then there are people where it's like, especially right now, and especially entrepreneurs, you're in such a state of depletion that we might have to do a huge foundational shift, and then we're going to build the layers of tuning there. And a way we think about it a lot in folk herbalism is nutritive foundations, and then we'll often move to nervous system care. And then we might move into some digestive tweaking, which usually then can support some hormonal shifts.
Okay, so that was nutrition, nervous system. What was before hormones?
Digestive.
Digestive. Oh, that's so good. But what do you see most causing depleted states in and of itself? Or what are like these bigger contributing factors?
I think in the US, we have to be aware that our food system is depleted.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when we eat well, the food just does not have a lot of times the same level of nutrition that it even did maybe 50 years ago. And, when I first learned that, it really freaked me out and it kicked up the conspiracy part of me and all that. And now I try to hold it with a lot of gentleness and curiosity. And like, we can be working on those food systems over time. Mm-hmm. But also you and I are alive here now, and we need to figure out how to support our bodies in being here now. Yeah. And that's actually evolution, is being able to adapt to what is, not what you think should be or what is ideal. Yeah. So there's just a depletion in what we have access to, but also, the level of nervous system, I don't even want to call it dysregulation, but like the devices we use, the pace of life, there's so many things that are pulling at our nervous system and just our like nutritional foundation in a way that we are learning about in real time. The landscape of like influences on our body has changed so radically in like 30 years. 20 years, maybe even. Yeah. Like I think about college, and I was, on a little beep boop phone, right? Where you had to like press the button 12 times to get the right letter, right? So think about that versus how many messages and pings I'm doing, and it's activating all kinds of parts of our brain, and that pulls resources. So we're going to have to resource in a different way. So I think there's those two factors. What else is causing depletion? Those might be the two ones. It's also one of those tipping scales where it's like, if our baseline, if we are depleted nutritionally, the body is really good at working to adapt, but that means it sets all these other systems off in the name of prioritizing us just moving forward. Mm-hmm. And that's great. Like our bodies are just so amazing at helping us adapt. Mm-hmm. But what that means is we do that over many years, we get to a state where it's not just that we're depleted, everything is operating in a way it's not designed to, because it's had to adapt to a certain level of depleted resourcing.
So it's almost like, it kind of reminds me of when you sprain an ankle and then your other hip gets all messed up from it.
It's so funny that you say that, because I sprained my ankle. Like I have a sprained ankle right now. On my trip, I sprained my ankle, and then I was in Europe. So you can't not walk in Europe. So I had to walk on the sprained ankle, set off this whole chain of musculature up my back. Mm-hmm. But it was actually really cool because I felt how my body worked together for the first time. Mm-hmm. I wasn't just thinking of a sprained ankle. I was like, I'm feeling my whole body compensate. Mm-hmm. And because of that, then I understand what I need to take care of on the come down in order to help my body come back to normal.
I'm wondering where thoughts fit into this, because I know for myself, like I can get myself into a depleted state just by like mental spiraling.
You're asking the body to use resources on a creation. It's just a creation of an anxiety loop. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Think about it that way. Like, or you're asking your nervous system to run for you, but you're not running away from the tiger. You're not actually executing that flight response
Mm-hmm.
in a physical way. You're just running the hormones of the flight response through your body, and you're looping it over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay, so now that you've told me these 4 levels and I've written them down, this is a different direction than I expected. Could you give us like little easy things that people could do this week or this month to start like making little tunes to this like nutrition, nervous system, digestive, hormonal level?
Yeah. So I actually, without knowing a body in front of me, and I want to caveat this by saying we are each so unique. So it is great to like, take the advice you see on Instagram or whatever, but also we're in a time of like, it's easy to just be like, oh, someone posted an Instagram tile about an herb, I'm going to try that. It's like, try it, but know that you're experimenting on your own body. Mm-hmm. That being said, the safest places to start for the most people is just the nutritional, let's say nourishment and nervous system. That would be the actual place that I would start. If you do that, you can shift 80% of dysfunction in the body. And then sometimes that's enough, and the digestive and the hormonal stuff will shift on its own. Or maybe then you want to bring in some little adjustments in that place. And for that, you might want to work with a practitioner. For nourishment, nettles, burdock, oat straw are my 3 favorite, pretty universally safe, nutritive herbs. Mm-hmm. Nutritive means they have next to 0 side effects from almost every body. They're going to be good. They each have their own little flavor, but they pack pretty much all the vitamins and minerals that you would need. Nettles is very good at just like full minerals and nutrients and a little bit of zip. It'll usually give you a little bit of energy and a little bit of zip. Oat straw is really good for if you tend to be very, very anxious or very, very mental, like very, very, very mental in a way that makes you almost fragile, right? Oat straw is great for that because oat straw kind of doubles as a nervous system tonic. Burdock is really good when you need really deep solidifying grounding, as well as a little bit of detoxification.
And if I hear you say that, I'm like, great, I'm using all 3 right now. But I don't think I
say usually start with one. I tell people pick one. It's like you're like, oh, I'm going to try this and try this. Pick one, commit to ideally a month with one of those nutritive herbs. Mm-hmm. And the best way to do it is to do it as an infusion. You can put about 2 tablespoons of the herb in a 32-ounce mason jar, cover it with hot water, let it sit overnight or at least 4 hours, because that's going to pull the most out of the herb. Drink it. You can drink one of those every day, 32 ounces every day for a month. And that is, we're just like building up the baseline of nutrition. We're flooding the body with nutrition. In folk herbalism and Western herbalism, there's a lot of practice around before we're going to try to correct anything, we flood the body with nourishment and resourcing. Because why would we try to repair something if we're deficient? Which I think is a really good thing to think about in life and business and anything. It's like if you're going to fix a problem, first flood the environment with resourcing, then go to start making corrections.
So I'm wondering, I'm seeing a parallel with business of, okay, if you're trying to fix a problem, but you don't have enough cash flow in your business, so like maybe that's a depleted state, then what do you do, right? Because like maybe the problem is causing the lack of cash flow. Like, what would you say to that?
Yes. Yeah. So let's think about that. I'm like, this is fun. I'm like using the body as a teaching mechanism for these things, which is how I like to use it a lot. So there's something that can happen in the physical body where if we've been depleted for so long, the cells actually learn to kind of shut down. And so even though we may be flooding the body with nourishment, the cells actually aren't opening and receiving it, right? And that is often a mental or emotional thing. There's a trauma pattern happening that the body's going, shut down, close up, don't let anything in, including the good stuff, right? So in a business, I might say like energetically, we'd want to say like, is there a little bit of mindset or energetic work that wants to happen to even make yourself open and available for resourcing to come in, right? And then I'd probably say you'd like want to measure like what can be done with what's here. What's ideal, right? Like ideally, this is how I want to fix these problems down the road. What's the version of that can happen right now?
Yeah.
right? And move incrementally in that way.
It's almost like if you have a program, you have a core program, you want your entire business to be self-study course based, but it's not selling right now. The funnels aren't working. The ads, like something is not the launch failed, or like you didn't hit your goal, and like you're strapped for cash. It's like, okay, go find a way to flood your business with cash. Of like, okay, go back to private coaching. Go back to like your done for you services. Like, what is the way that you know that you can get cash now, so that you can have time and like be in the nutritive state, so that you can give the problem the attention that it needs.
Yes, 100%. I just coached a business client on that exact thing recently, where like they have the vision of where it wants to go, but like they have an immediate need. There's bills that have to be paid this month.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's okay to do a cash grab in your business if it's conscious and if it's held within a larger vision. You know, you're moving toward that larger vision, and you're putting in like an immediate emergency process into activation. That's okay. It's okay. When it's unconscious and when it's the only thing we know how to do, that's when it feels bad in business. And I've been in that where I'm just like only reactive, right? But if I'm doing it consciously, because I know it's building me toward a larger vision, it just has a totally different flavor.
Yeah. So good. Okay. So we have the nutrition element. Then what's our nervous system element?
Yeah. And so the nervous system element builds on the nutrition element, right? Because we need that level of nutrition in the body for the nervous system to even be able to not just respond, but start to regulate itself, right? I think it's really interesting that nervous system work has gotten really trendy, but we're not talking really about a nutritional side of it. And like a lot of people, I think, are trying to regulate their nervous system, but it's kind of like working a wiring that's frayed and that like the rubber coating is gone, and you're trying to run a bunch of energy through wires that are that are frayed. They are not resourced enough to hold the nervous system work you're doing. So nervous system herbs that I find myself working with a lot, like heavy duty passion flower. Although what's funny is when I studied herbalism, they would talk about passion flower as like essentially like nature's beta blocker. It functions very similar to a beta blocker, heavy duty anxiety, stress, nervous system support. Now people's nervous systems, I have clients that drink it all day long and they don't get tired, you know? So our nervous systems have been through a lot in the past 4 years, and they can take a different level of support. So passion flower is a great one in general, but I usually tell people try it first at the end of the day to see if it's going to make you a little sleepy. And if so, then you can use it at night and it's going to repair your nervous system overnight. And then you'll have a different baseline during the day. Or for some people, they can drink it all day long. Lavender is another really great nervous system support, and it's just a little lighter touch. And it's almost like when I work with lavender, it feels like it's like stitching up my energetic field. It feels like it's like repairing this like frayed fabric of protection between me and the world. So I find myself actually going to lavender a lot, and it's kind of overlooked because it's just in everything, right? We're like lavender essential oil, lavender this, lavender that. But if you really sit with it as a tea, you'll feel it's like very, very detailed and delicate in the support it can offer.
You know what's interesting with that was Robin Langford, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago for the astrology for 2024. And she's a close friend outside of work and business, whatever. And we were talking about boundaries, and I forget what, maybe it was the chickens. There's something going on. And I was like talking about like energetic boundaries, and she's like, you got to work with lavender. It was like, it's this like energy boundary setting herb. So it's cool.
I love that.
It's like a different like perspective almost.
Yeah. And it's a really good thing to like bring in and understand another capacity of what our nervous system does for us, because the nervous system and the immune system are like best friends. They talk back and forth to each other. They are like constantly relaying information. If your nervous system is dysregulated, your immune system will be dysregulated, and vice versa. And so in a way, we kind of have to work with both at the same time, though I think I like to start people with the nervous system because that's just the most foundational. Energetically, immune system is boundaries, right? So as we're solidifying the nervous system, both physically and energetically, we are setting the foundation for better boundaries, both physically through our immune system and energetically.
So good. So is that the same sort of thing where you recommend it as a infusion or something else?
Yeah, like lavender is a really good one because you can actually add that to your infusions. It goes really well with nettles. It goes really well actually with all three of those nutritive herbs I mentioned. So to make it easy on yourself, one thing you have to do a day, you're going to have 32 ounces of your nutritive herb, your nourishing herb, whether it's nettles, burdock, oat straw. You can put in some lavender. And so you're doing both your nervous system and the nutritive herb at the same time. You could probably do the same with passion flower but I tell people test it out first because some people it may create a little bit of drowsiness. And if that's the case, then it's a nighttime herb for you. It's a really good one though for entrepreneurs who struggle to shut it down at the end of the day.
Yeah.
To help you transition into your evening hours. And so like, you know, maybe 2 hours or an hour before you want to ideally be turning your brain off for the day, start sipping that passion flower and it'll just start to wind your body out of your workday and into the evening.
So there's often two different kinds of people listening in on this podcast, and those are the people who are like, they just need support in the work that they're doing. Like they're like, just give me what I need and so I can keep going. And then there's the person who really wants to play with all of it.
Yeah.
And so I want to like drop in here something that we were talking about in a session around, like, I wasn't feeling it. You had prescribed me passion flower, and I was working with passion flower, and my first like meditation with the herb was just this like psychedelic experience. I was like, passion flower was fucking talking to me. It's also like on the cover of my book. It grows wild all around where I am. So it's like everywhere. But then I started taking it, and I wasn't really feeling anything. And you had mentioned that it was like certain plants or certain people, like it's actually important to do this communion versus just like taking it and running. Did I get that right?
Yeah, 100%. I think I always actually like to, except for a few herbs that you're never going to drink. Most plants, I tried to drink them at first and even sit with them kind of consciously to open up that relationship. Especially, I imagine most people listening to this are a little witchy, you're energetic, you're sensitive, you're tuned in. Like, I work with the herbs. It's not just a plant body to me, it's a spirit. And the spirit has 50%, if not more than 50% of the medicine. So the building the energetic bridge, building that relationship, I think is really important for a lot of people. And like, yeah, you have this thing where you're like, oh, passion flower is basically like, I'm not available to you unless you're going to sit and give me some time. With that, what I will say also, and this is just good for people to know, there is a difference in how you're taking in the herb, and tinctures often will kind of like, they may work at a low level under the surface over time, right? And especially when we're looking at nervous system work, often we're like changing the nervous system landscape very subtly over time. And so it can be about the difference between, does someone need something that literally calms them down in the moment? You're kind of probably want to drink a tea. Are you looking to work at your nervous system over time? The teas will do that if you're working with them consistently, but that might be a place where a tincture, and it's not about feeling it in the moment, but knowing that you're working the landscape of your nervous system under the surface so that you just have a different operating system.
So good. So with this, like, what do you see as maybe those 2 tiers, maybe the 4 tiers for helping our capacity to hold more? Like, how does that fit in?
Yeah, I think even if every person just focused on the nutritive herbs, or a level of focusing on replenishment, that would make a huge shift, right? Even something, and this isn't really an herb, but it's so present in the entrepreneur community right now, like magnesium. Specifically, magnesium glycinate is a really good absorbable form. They're predicting now that like most of us are hyper deficient in magnesium because of the demands of our modern life. There's even a lot of functional medicine doctors that say that what is listed as a recommended daily allowance is probably not accurate for our modern time, that we might need as much as 4 times what we thought we needed because of how quickly magnesium is being pulled from our systems for a lot of different reasons. So, I have clients or entrepreneurs I work with where like magnesium and a nutritive herb, we do that for a month and it can radically change things. Even to the degree of like, you think you have an anxiety problem or a belief system problem or an anxiety disorder. You think you have all these things, and it's actually just that your body is so depleted.
Oh my gosh.
Is so depleted. It can't think straight. It can't problem solve. It can't think that abundance is possible because literally the landscape of the body is like, I am starving. There is no abundance.
Yeah.
It
makes me, so I'm terrible at exercising consistently. Like, it's just like, I have such a hard time.
Yeah.
And I go through periods of being consistent and not being consistent, as an ADHD person is. But in the periods where I like get back into it and I like find a baseline again of like being happy, and it's like, oh, maybe it isn't a mindset problem. Maybe I just need to exercise consistently.
Dude, it was like a couple weeks ago, I had a day where I woke up and I was like on the floor level of depression, right? On the floor level of depression. Something that I sort of felt familiar, but definitely is not part of my landscape now. And it's so easy to be like, oh, I'm depressed. And then to start to look for the stories of the depression. And I was like, it's winter. I know there's some stagnation in my body. I ate a bunch of sugar last night. Like I just knew the landscape of my body in a way that I was like, my liver is literally just congested right now because I haven't exercised and I ate a bunch of sugar and I just need to help something move through. And so I had my little herbs that I went through, and I'm telling you, within 2 hours it lifted. And I was like, years ago, that would have turned into a many weeks psychoanalyzing of what was so wrong in my life that I could wake up that depressed.
Yeah.
And not to say that those, I hold every dimension of our awareness now. It is mental and emotional and all the things. But man, the body is kind of like a magic portal to get us out of those states.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, I really want to talk about, because one thing that you do is you will tune into someone's business and be able to like kind of calibrate business owner business. Can you just tell us about that process and how that actually works, or how people could actually use that themselves? Like,
yeah. Well, and there's a slightly different version of like when I'm working on, when I'm in session, some of the work, right, like that we've done where we have energy sessions where we're doing energy work on you, or we're doing energy work on the business as its own consciousness. And when I do that, I treat people's business like they're a client. And so I run an energy session just like I run an energy session on a body. But probably the easier way to speak to it and how people could replicate is how I do it for my own business, because I started doing this years ago. And for me, I essentially through meditation and sort of my own explorations created this like energetic landscape that is my business. And now there's like a few of them, right, that are connected through different bridges. And so I have an energetic landscape that is my client practice, my one-on-one client practice. And I have an energetic landscape that is my teaching business. And I go, close my eyes and drop into a meditation, and I go into that landscape. And when I say landscape, I mean there are trees and there are rivers and there's a temple, and then over here there's a library, right? And it grows. Like I can drop into it and I'm like, oh, weird. Today there's a river running through the landscape of my business. What does that have to tell me today? Right. So I go sit by the river and I let the river of my business communicate something to me. Right. And it's kind of a dual practice for me now. I go through periods where I try to just go sit with the landscape of my business every day and not get anything out of it. That was like hugely transformative in my relationship, because I realized I had an extractive relationship even with my business, where I was only going to figure out how to fix something or get something, or how do we make more money? How do we get more clients? And I kind of had one of these, I call it like spirit smack moments, where the business was like, do you want to just be with me to be with me? Like, are you willing to have a relationship just because you want to have a relationship? So there are periods where I just go to sit and I'm just here with my feet dangling in the river and we're just hanging out together. And then I also go to it when I have specific questions or I feel like I'm at a choice point in some practical move within the business. I'm going to hear from the energy of the business, what it wants or what it sees that I can't see. And the best things in my business currently are things that I have been shown by the business itself. Like I don't really design my business much anymore. It shows me what's happening next. And then I'm like, all right, great. I got to go do that. And I know I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs that are like, I don't want to be my own boss. I don't want to have to know what to do. And I'm like, great, you don't have to. If you set up a system where you talk to your business, the business is the boss. And it literally just tells me to do what to do. It goes, go write this email. And I go, all right, whatever. The business told me to.
Oh my God, that's so good. It's funny because I created this meditation years ago to like connect with the soul of your business. And it wasn't until last year that I had this like, oh shit, like it's not just the soul of the business that you're like speaking to like one other entity. It's like you're actually going into a forest. So like I
Yes.
had that realization last year. It sounds like you've been doing it for a while. So, but like it just came to me. I was just like, and it suddenly became so much easier for me. Cause like before it's like, oh yeah, people are interacting with the soul of my business, it's my business. But then suddenly if you're like actually seeing yourself going into an ecosystem and being like, I'm hanging out in this ecosystem and people are coming in and interacting with the ecosystem. And like, it just is this huge somatic experience of like, it becomes even more easy to be like, oh, not only am I not alone with it, which is like what you really get when you're like connecting with the soul, but like when you're like in this ecosystem, you're like, oh, they're not here for me. These people are not here for me. They're here for this place.
I think it takes a lot of pressure off of, especially if you are, like me, if you build a business where to a degree you are a front and a face and a facilitator of something, that can become really crippling in its pressure, right? And also we identify with the business in a way that detracts from our own humanness. So suddenly the business becomes our whole identity. It gets really twisty. And I know I had that same feeling of being like, no, I'm inside of the landscape of my business. I'm held by it just as my clients are. And they're poking around in here and they are impacting the change of this thing. And my job actually as facilitator is to listen for that. As this has been very true in my teaching ecosystem I run. Like it's a co-creation. I'm facilitating it, but I'm really listening. And as people have moved through, we've been running that space now we're going on 4 years. The people that come through change it. They impact it. New things emerge to meet who's showing up. And if I had to figure that out with my brain, it would suck. Like it would not be very good. I just know that, it's interesting because I drop into that space and I listen and I go, oh, we've got these people coming through. They've changed the landscape of this. And so now there's a new possibility here because of the people that have walked through this space.
Okay, so let's make a ritual for this.
Okay, great.
What is an herb that someone could take to like have them drop in to like enter into their ecosystem?
Yeah, I'm going to give 2 options for people because passion flower has been in the conversation and she can be very good for this. Like you said, you had a very psychedelic experience. Are we like, how sort of illicit can I get on this podcast?
Very.
Okay. If you have worked with ayahuasca, passion flower is a great way to touch back into the frequency of ayahuasca without taking any psychedelics. To be clear, passion flower is not a psychedelic, but it's got a vine medicine to it. It's got a viney consciousness to it. So for like when I have clients, right? When I have clients who've worked with ayahuasca, often the passion flower can bring the energy of that back forward without having to actually go back into that space fully. So passion flower is a great one. One that I've been using a lot lately, she's been like in the orbit for me and clients, is blue lotus. And blue lotus is like, it's just, I always see her literally blossoming at the third eye. And when I say third eye, I also think of the third eye as the pituitary gland of our endocrine system, because that's the parallel. And people often associate third eye with pineal, but that's pineal is with your crown and the pituitary is with your third eye. And the pituitary is the visioning center of, and I say that both energetically and physiologically, it's orchestrating the hormone cycle to support the vision that you are moving toward. And so sitting in meditation with blue lotus and letting her literally open up the like laser beam of vision of your business and what you can step into and what wants to be made through you. I think that's a great one.
That's so good. Oh, I love this for all you guys listening. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah. And people, I'll say that. And sometimes, people get tripped up. They're like, well, what do you mean? And it really isn't like, what do you mean you create the energetic landscape? It is as simple as like a visualization and an intention for me, right? For a lot of people that use it, start with one element, start with a tree. Let that tree be the starting point of this landscape of your business, and just sit in front of a tree for a while and watch some new things emerge, right? Maybe a critter runs down from the tree and runs off in a certain direction. You follow that. And now you find there's this other element, right? And every time you go to it, you don't have to make the thing happen. You're meeting the business and letting the business show you something. So I'll show up to the business and I'm like, oh shit, there's this whole new temple in the corner of my business landscape. Let's go poke around in there and see what that's trying to show me today.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to touch into a little bit more of the background of you and your business, because there's a lot of healers in the world who really struggle to make any money in their business, and you associate as being a healer, right?
Yeah.
So what was that creation process, and what was the different phases of then to now?
Yeah. I definitely had plenty of years where I was very broke. You know what I mean? But what's interesting, like I can look back on it and recognize I didn't intend to go down this path. Like I had a whole other career. I was just studying energy work out of my own curiosity. And I just started getting clients, right? So I had this parallel of both. I saw that the work was calling to me. I was clearly magnetizing something, yet I could never let myself really receive payment for it. That was definitely a thing that I worked through for the first few years. And I think there's a level of that like at a totally woo-woo level, people who do healing work and spiritual work like have to investigate these belief systems and patterns of poverty, of not thinking they should charge for their work, of thinking that, and it's so twisted up with capitalism. We think things should be free, but you're not living for free. It's not. And actually, I've been like poking that in a lot of places lately. Like nothing's actually free. There's always been levels of exchange.
Yeah.
The system of exchange we're using now happens to be money. But we can fantasize about a time where you were living in a tribe and you were the village healer, and people came to you for healing, and maybe they didn't give you money, but they probably brought you a chicken. Or when your roof needed to be thatched, it got thatched, right? You were fundamentally taken care of. There was constantly a mode of exchange happening. It was just a different vehicle of exchange than what we're using now.
There's probably like even like a more DNA level remembrance of a time where like the monks and the spiritual people on a path, they were taken care of by the community.
Yes.
They didn't have to work. They were just straight up taken care of. And so there's probably this like echo coming forward with that of like, I shouldn't be paid for this because I should just be taken care of.
Yeah.
But it's not a part of our current reality.
Yeah. And like when we do the work, whether you're going to do, there's how you could do belief system work, you could do tapping work, you could do past life regression work, you could do a shamanic journey around it. There's so many ways energetically and psychologically to work at that and get yourself to the place where you're like, I am here now. I'm here now. And there actually is a beautiful opportunity for me to do meaningful work and do really well for myself. And for me now, it's become the challenge of like, how wouldn't it be awesome to create an imprint of like hyper successful businesses that are extremely ethical and help a lot of people and are like, most people are spending money on crap they don't even want to.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't it be cool to create a business where people get to circulate money for meaningful things?
What are the next phases?
Yes. What are the next phases? Okay. So I think there's a level of belief system work that healers have to do at the start. You just have to. And maybe part of it is you have to really sit and be like, do I want to do this for money? Because for some people, what they realize is they don't. And that's an okay choice, right? You could be a healer that your healing is not going to be the way you make money. If you go, no, I'm a healer and I want this to be how I make my money, then I think the next step is to activate the part of you that's going to be a business owner. And they don't have to be separate, but they are different. And what's interesting, I was like a serial entrepreneur. I've had so many different businesses in my life. I've had every possible tax code you can imagine. When I became a healer, it was like I forgot about that part of myself. And I was just like, oh, I'm a healer now. I just sit on my cloud and I like, you know what I mean? And I really had to come back down and be like, no, but I actually have some business acumen here, and I can blend these two parts of me, and both muscles want to be worked. And they can work together, and it can become really fun. But I see healers that don't want to worry about the money. And if you're going to run a business, you need to figure out a way to have fun working the numbers.
So what's phase 2?
What's phase 2? I think so let's like use the example of someone who's most people probably are starting off with one-on-one sessions, right? Because there's a degree of working one-on-one that's going to refine your craft and get, I think even though some people may know that they don't want to do one-on-one work forever, if you're doing energy work or somatic work or astrology or anything like that, I think that it is good and humbling to work a period where you're going to try to do a lot of one-on-one work. Because you need to refine that craft. You need to understand what it looks like to interface with the public. You need to get some systems going of how I deliver a service, money comes in. I deliver a service, money comes in. That's at least how I did it. And I just focused on volume. Even if that meant I was working for a lower rate in the beginning, I was trying to get as many sessions under my belt as I could for whatever people could pay me, right? That then allowed me to both have the confidence and a body of knowledge that I could start constructing those things into packages that worked for the people that were attracted to me, that worked for me, that also honored my energy levels, right? Because the other thing that happens is if you've been, say, an hourly worker, and maybe like what I used to make at most, maybe $30 an hour when I was an hourly worker. When you suddenly start doing energy work and your sessions 150, 200, 250, you go, that's an insane jump, but you're not going to work 30 to 40 hours a week. I don't even do 20 hours a week of client work. No way, right? Energetically, that would blow my system out. So, but I had to do those numbers of hours to understand what was my capacity, what's a good schedule for me. So then how do the dollars rearrange so that I honor my time, I can pay my bills, I feel like I can offer the best version of my work, right? For a long time, I was just doing a ton of one-on-ones. Now I've moved more toward the containers because people get a much better version of me if I can be in constant contact with them. I feel better offering herbal recommendations or somatic recommendations because if something comes up, they're in immediate contact with me and we can refine it. If someone's going to show up in front of me one time, I'm actually probably not offering them as many interventions because I can't guarantee that I'll be there to support them as I see how their body integrates. So I guess to like frame that is like volume of experience into refinement of offering, and refinement of offering to me looks like what meets my energy needs, what meets my financial needs, what allows my best work to come forward. And then, for some people that's enough. And for some people, they're going to turn that into the bodies of work where they're teaching, right? Or building courses or whatever. And that's where I've evolved. And for me, I need to be doing both. If I were only doing client work, I would go crazy. If I were only teaching, I'd go crazy. I've really liked having a business where I do a little bit of both. I have a teaching cycle that runs from March to December each year, which means January through March, I call like my sabbatical season. I cut my client calendar down. I don't work that much January through March each year. And it's my time to take my own trainings, to fill up, to travel, to be inspired. So that then the rest of the year, the work I'm putting forward feels new and interesting each year. And people can actually stay with me as I grow and as they grow.
So I actually have had a similar cycle in my business or phase where in the beginning, it's like almost freelancer, business owner, then like scaled. Sure.
Yeah.
Of like at the beginning, I was like hourly rate as a marketing person and just like dollars for hours, working with whoever, just getting stuff under my belt, which is a lot of people want to skip this which is horrible terrible of a decision if you are having a problem niching, or you don't know who your like client avatar is, quote unquote. It's because you haven't worked with enough people, and you haven't like had the somatic experience of what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And then like the business owner is like, oh wait, like I actually have to have half of my time set aside for marketing, for admin, for finances. There's like, and my prices need to account for that. So that's like business owner realization, perspective shift. And then there's like, okay, if I want to grow bigger or have a bigger team or have something scaled or start teaching, like that's like phase 3 if you want to go there. So I like totally feel all of that.
Yeah. And I'll see it. I'll get people that come through trainings and I watch them like they haven't even left the, Reiki training or whatever. And they're already on like
they're making
their branding and their website and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you need to get 100 client sessions under your belt. You know what I mean? As annoying as you think that is, like put yourself, even if half of them are free, but they're only paying you $20 at first, like get a bunch of sessions first to see if you even like it. To see how you like it, to see what your version of it is, to, like you said, what's my niche? Where is my specialty? Who are the people that are naturally coming to me, right? Like most healers are going to find you just are naturally attracting these certain ranges of people. And you're only going to know that as you make it available. And there's a humbling phase, I think, that people need to go through. It's okay. Even if you're starting over at 40, 45, 50, let yourself just get down and dirty with it for a minute before you try to format it into something. I think the other thing I would throw in here is like game changer, and I resisted it for so long, is for healers and energy workers, spirit workers, whatever, like figure out the simple but like usable systems for you to automate as much as you can, right? It's like a scheduling system, right? Where when people book, they automatically get confirmations and it has the Zoom link. Like, for $20 a month, you can set up an Acuity or whatever to automate stuff that I was doing manually for years. And most healers are. Even now, I try to book with people and I can't book on their website. And I'm like,
circling back to the beginning, my first point in here, the only reason I booked with you is because you had next day booking
right
available on your website.
Right? It's available. You can book. She instantly gets a Zoom link. Literally what happens on my end when Sam books, I get a little text message ping. Oh, someone's been added to my calendar tomorrow. There's nothing I have to do. She gets the automated email. She gets a Zoom link. She gets prep email. She'll get a confirmation. I just get to show up to my computer and do my sessions. I've set my availability. No one can book unless I say they can book. So she saw that availability because I said, yes, I want to be working tomorrow. So I'm keeping this calendar day open so that people can book in there. And yeah, man, I go to try to book with people and I go, God, don't make me call you. And then I have to follow up to get the address, like $20, spend $20 and automate it. It'll make your life so much easier. And then you get to just do the part that you're good at, which is being in the work, right? Like I see Samantha's ping come through when she books and my energy starts to go to her and be like, okay, there's a new person that I'm going to work with tomorrow. And I'm just connecting and feeling into the energetics rather than worrying about like, okay, I need to email that person and I need to make sure the Zoom link's right. And oh, they didn't get the Zoom link, all that stuff. It's just the noise that we're so lucky to live in a time where there are systems, very affordable systems to take care of that stuff.
Calendly is free.
Right? Yeah, Calendly is free. I think the lowest version of Acuity is $8 a month. You know what I mean? You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. You can automate the stuff. And like, yes, it may like feel triggering in the beginning. I think for a lot of healers, the technical stuff feels triggering. But man, when I push myself to be like, I'm going to figure this stuff out, it revolutionized my life.
Yeah. Started an Instagram and put your Acuity in the link in bio. Done. You're good to go.
Simple as that. I just had a client the other day where they're trying to, and I was like, Reiki sessions, 50 minutes, $50, put a link in your bio, just do it. Just blast it out. Just, get a bunch of people in front of you, try it out, feel how the system works, let it be messy. It's okay. People are okay with that. I actually think I often am attracted to the practitioners and healers that feel a little real and raw. When someone's super polished, it's sometimes a bit of a red flag for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you put a lot of attention in making your Instagram very shiny, but like, are you good at energy? Right? Like, I want to know, I used to say, like, I loved the healers where their websites looked like a Word document. I'm not suggesting this, but part of me was like, those are the old school shamanic practitioners where like the website looks like
I
it's
know
from the
exactly
90s.
what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? I go, you are really good. Like, you're good, terrible at building your business, but you're probably really good at shamanic work. And you're the one that I want to hire.
Oh, so funny. Oh, okay. Well, we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Bummer. This is so good, Julia.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, like I usually like ask some closing questions. So I'm just trying to like rack my brain and like
Cool.
out of these.
Can I give a plug for you?
Sure.
Can I give a plug? So I've been in business with this for almost 10 years. I'm like more in, scaling realm. I recently purchased Sam's Evergreen Ecosystems course because you're the first person who I was like, from this person, I would take this funnel info. And I've been working through it and it's incredible. Even if you think you have some of those systems, the refinement you offer and your perspective on how to activate these business systems in a way that also feels really cool and ethical and like aligned is spot on. So as a healer, practitioner, business owner, woo-woo, witch, spiritual person, I highly recommend Sam's course.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm really proud of that one. And it's like in the making. I've like, it's like I so much epic material in there, but I'm like still have like videos planned of like, oh, I want to add this now. And I'm just, it's such like a part of my heart.
Yeah, I feel it. And it feels like this alive thing. And it also, I mean, to the thing we were talking about earlier, like, right, you have booked sessions from me. You have traded your dollars for my services. I have now bought yours, right? Like we're moving money around among practitioners that we think are doing meaningful work. We are creating the village.
Yeah.
It's just slightly different.
I was writing about this earlier today because I'm like in this like writing journey at the moment, but commerce is so human. It is so human. And it's a way of actually like for our entire human history to build human relationships between families, between tribes, between nations. Like commerce is very important for human survival.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
like, what a beautiful way to like be like, no, this is okay. It is okay. It's actually beautiful what we're doing, building these amazing businesses that build relationships and serve people. And yeah, we just sit here, we're just trading the same dollars around and it's wonderful.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So on that note, is there any specific resource, not of yours, we'll get to that in a second, but any specific resource you want to point people to if they want to go like read something or look deeper or like learn more about anything we talked about today?
As an herbal resource, because I think it feels like we talked a lot about that. A couple books that I think are really good and accessible. Robin Rose Bennett, is that her name? Robin Rose Bennett. She has a lot of, she's an herbalist. She has a lot of good starter herbal books. So she's a great place to start. And then there's also, I'm like looking for it. I even sent it to you. What's it called? Intimate Herbal, especially for women. It's geared more toward women or female bodies, but Intimate Herbal is a great place. And the way she uses herbs is in the landscape of like a whole life. And so that is a great resource for anyone who's feeling depleted or dealing with hormone issues, or just wants to navigate different eras of, some of us are aging through our mid 30s, maybe into our 40s. Our hormonal landscape changes, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing if we know how to support it. So Intimate Herbal.
Awesome. And then for people who want to either learn from you or be supported by you, what are your various places to look and work with you?
Yeah, I have two main online hubs. I have Radical Healers, which is at radicalhealers.org. And that is like my learning ecosystem. We call it the Radical Healers ecosystem because it is the place to learn and play with energy. It's for people who are like, I want to start playing with energy in my life. And we cover all kinds of different energy traditions, including herbal stuff in there. So radicalhealers.org, if you want to learn.
It didn't look very starter. I've looked at the website. I was like, you're saying like, oh, if you want to start where I was like, this looks kind of advanced. So like, I don't want
to. If you're a starter, there's a track on there called the Gateway, and that's a starter track, right? And there's some self-paced courses on there that are more starter, but I mean, it's a commitment. It's for people who are like, I am waking up to my magical self and I need to make space and time for it, And a lot of my energy work with people, it's like, we're going to have to put in some time. That's kind of part of my whole thing. There's little ways you can do it self-paced, but like my big bread and butter thing is 9 months, because 9 months, you're going to put yourself in a magical container for 9 months to really like wake up and embody just a different way of living. So that's Radical Healers. And then albainenergymedicine.com is for one-on-one work. And that you can do a single session to try it out, or there's these container programs to get some more all-inclusive support.
You might be able to book tomorrow.
But yeah, you might be able to book tomorrow. Truly, you know what I mean? I don't do that much one-on-one work. I don't have to do that anymore in my business. And because of that, I make my books available when I really want to work. And so often I can, I'll have periods where get in here because I'm doing a lot of client work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm working with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad too. This is so fun. And it was, when I was students, I was like, oh my God, ecosystem, regenerative business. Here she is.
No, so good. And any final thought or word of wisdom for people listening?
I feel like I want to highlight what you started with in this, like, kind of revolutionizing this idea that as a business owner, you have to be burnt out. That's been the culture and the ethos. I think sometimes we think we're not working hard enough for our business if we're not absolutely exhausted. And I think that it's a really good time to poke that and disrupt that, because we will never be making the best choices for our business if we're tired and depleted. We will never be seeing the possibilities if we're tired and depleted. This old like work 80 hours a week thing, it's got to be busted. I do not work that much, and I create way more the less I work. And I want to be well, and my business is well when I am well. So prioritizing your wellness, even if you have to trick yourself and be like, if I feed my body, I will make better choices for my business. So for some of us, we won't do it just for ourselves. So if you need to do it for your business, tell yourself that if my body is fed, I will make smarter choices. I will see possibilities hidden in plain sight. It will benefit everyone if my nervous system is settled and fed, and my body feels replenished.
And it's so affordable too. Like, go get a pound of nettles for $15. Organic
That
nettles, $15.
Yeah. You're not going to go buy a bunch of $80 supplements. Like, the herbs are cheap. This is cheap medicine. It's very accessible medicine. You can even get to the point where you grow it yourselves. Nettles will grow crazy. If you start growing them, they'll take over your yard. So this is accessible support for your business and your body.
Oh, so good.